What It Takes Radio Company presents Here We Go! Get your chess set out because it's time for another inconvenient idea. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. What if everything you thought you knew was wrong? We have fun with that, but this is the new version of interesting ideas, and now it usually is about something that might be an inconvenient idea, but it's a way of saying, the view of life that allows you to live in the curiosity zone where you're always open to the fact that, what I thought I knew or what I think I know, what I believed or what I accepted, maybe, it might be wrong. And so that doesn't mean you become a cynic or a skeptic. It simply means you become curious and open to new ideas, new realities. And in many cases, you may find that something that you knew wasn't wrong at all. But now you know why it wasn't wrong, why it is true, and why it is important to you. And what happens is, as I say, is that your clarity, your conviction, and your courage increase. Your clarity, your conviction, and your courage, and maybe your commitment increases. So it's good to go into the curiosity zone. Curiosity zoom. Yeah, I guess that would work. The curiosity zone, and ask yourself the question, what if everything I thought I knew was wrong? And that you are always open to perhaps some inconvenient ideas and dealing with them. That's oftentimes where the change comes from. We've all talked about your comfort zone. Well, the comfort zone is where it's convenient, where it works. And sometimes we have to zoom out into the curiosity zone and decide that maybe we should go, grow, and learn a little bit more, see what happens. What I want to do today is very sharp, but has a little bit of an imagination element to it. And I think it may have some degree of truth. Now, as I've pointed out, that what they now have discovered is that the media revolution that I and other people were predicting has now speeded up, and it's coming true. Right now, the probably one of the greatest media outlets is not ABC, NBC, or your cable. It's basically YouTube is one of the growing sources of media. And what is happening is that AM radio has always been on the edge, but now it's really on the edge. FM radio, of course, which was the choice of good music, they have survived well, but right now it is found out that the streaming programs and the streaming audience is greater than the AM and FM viewers and listeners combined and add into the cable. Now remember, the cable is not necessarily the streaming. It comes by cable, and it comes directly to a cable box. Now, what you have now is many people are cutting the cable, and they're not working with the cable companies. What they are doing is they do have an internet connection, but they're working with the streaming companies that are growing by leaps and bounds. And the programs that are coming out in streaming format through the internet are growing. And now what has happened is that is reality. So what are you going to do with that new reality? Well, let me suggest a couple things that might be helpful. Now, I'm going to ask you to use your imagination now, because I gave away my chess set to my grandson. He loves it. And he's learning. Okay. So I don't have my chess set here. But think about this now. I want you to picture the king. The king. Okay. You got a picture of your mind in that. All right. Now, I want you to picture the queen. All right. Now, all of the other players are around. There are pawns who have a certain amount of uh, power, but primarily only in that they can defend or perhaps take up space and move things around. They really have very little power to do anything except be somewhat defensive. Well, then you have the other pieces, the bishop, who going sideways, not direct, has a considerable amount of sneak up on you power. And he can move. I guess bishop could be a she, it moves in that way. Of course, then what else do you have? Well, you have the knight. Yeah, tricky guy, because obviously his move is unique. And again, you could move into a place where the knight would take you, and it might not be obvious to you. So the knight is kind of like someone in the night. He can remain hidden and do a number of things if he's not spotted. Then there is the rook or the castle. And he got a lot of power. Boom, straight across the board. Boom, straight across the board. But he's straight. Yeah, he's straight. He isn't tricky, and he isn't on the side, He's there. Now, what has happened in those of us in the communication business is that the word out now, that in effect, if you want to be in the zone, in place, you want to be a place where you'll be listened to, where you have influence and impact, you have to be a content creator. Content creator. Kind of like what I try to be. I come up with new ideas if I can, inconvenient ideas, and then I put them down either on paper, or I put them down on audio, or I put them down as I am now on the video. The world is full of content creators, and it was said that content is king. That's the deal. Well, unfortunately, that might not be true. Because who is more powerful than the king? More powerful. Of course, it's the queen. It's the queen that is the most valuable piece, has the most power, in that it can do almost all of the other things that many of the pieces can do, but do them in an across-the-board fashion. So if you're playing chess and you lose your queen without at least having something that made it worthwhile, and it's very difficult to have something that would make it worthwhile, you're in trouble. Now, that doesn't mean you will lose, but it means it will be harder for you to win, particularly if your opponent is able to protect the queen. You see, content may be king, but performance is queen. That's where the power is. You see, the content is just that. It's on a piece of paper. It's on a script. It is in someone's head. It's all over, except that it does not move. It does not have any energy. It does not have any personality. What you will get is that if the content is good, it must also have performance. It must also stream. It must come to life. It moves. It has sound. It has energy. It has movement. And now, as I'm pointing out, many of you who are writing books, I have put together what's going to be a new book coming out, just a little book. Remember, all my books are little books, all, and we'll have a scat of them. And it's called From Books to Broadcasting. And my point is that the book has content, but now you as the author must also turn it into a performance. You must become a performance author, not just a writing author. You have to become a performance author. And we're now in the business of helping many of you, like me. I am a total introvert. A lot of people say, oh, that can't be. How can you do what you do and be an introvert? Oh, 55, 60 years of practice of doing what does not come naturally. To taking my introversion and putting it on stage and learning how to perform and how to exercise and how to act in a somewhat unnatural way. I remember my children used to say, Dad would have been totally happy if he were a monk in a castle all by himself with his Macintosh. He'd been very happy just being there by himself, totally introverted. Now, I don't think that was fair, but it was a description that at one time very much was true. And of course, I married an incredible extrovert, one of the nicest persons in the world, total extrovert. Well, we say opposites attract, and of course they do, and sometimes they attack, but those are the dynamics. And so even if you are like me, a total introvert, one of the skills, one of the things you may have to now begin to know to do is to learn that the streaming of content and the streaming of information has now begun to be the primary means of communication. And if you want to have influence, if you want to have impact, if you want to make your mark, if you want to be heard, you want to be noticed, it may require some noise. All right. My show is done for today. And so I'm just simply implying that tell everybody you know who is trying to create a career and a business, watch out. The world has changed to a streaming content world. And because of that, content is maybe king, but performance has the power. Performance is the queen. An inconvenient idea, but I think it's right. And I hope you will check it out. Just let it sit on your head for a while, stir your mind, maybe even touch your heart. Well, I need to do something about that. I'm Stan Houston for What If Everything You Thought You Knew Was Wrong, The Curiosity Zone, and a bunch of other zones. And we wish you all the best. By the way, I can help you become one of the persons you need to be. I can help you do just what I said. help you become an introvert who has strong, expressive, and extroverted tendencies and skills to make it in the streaming world that is upon us. Take care. All the best. We'll be back with another inconvenient idea, maybe an impact zone idea, certainly a transformation zone idea, as we continue to press on in the world of living in the right zone at the right time. Bye for now.